Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. My name is Leanne and today's video is another What's for Dinner video. I've got some really great quick and easy meals to throw together. They are very simple and yeah, we just had some busy nights, some busy days, and so that's what these recipes are all about. So let's get into the first recipe. So for this first recipe, I'm going to, well, it's not even hardly a recipe. For this first meal idea, I guess we are having spaghetti squash and meat sauce. So I'm just going to show you really quick how I do this. This is just a nice healthier alternative to spaghetti. I did not used to like this as an alternative to pasta, but I do now. So if if you're unsure, I say give it a try. I do recommend using a really good sharp knife, which I don't have. Cutting these things open is really not easy, but this is how I do it. I like to cut them lengthwise and then I scoop out the seeds and put them on a lined baking sheet, which I do usually spray in just a little bit of water. You don't have to do that, but I do like to do that. It just kind of helps, I guess, steam it. Then put it in the oven at 400 degrees for anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes, depending on the size of your spaghetti squash. And I just like to do it until you pierce a fork through like the back side of it, through like the outer shell, until there's like a little bit resistance, but not too much. I don't like my spaghetti squash mushy. I just like it a little bit more al dente, I guess. And then I'm just grating up some fresh Parmesan cheese. I like to use my Nutri-Ninja for that. I usually grate it because I forget about doing this, but this gives me some nice grated cheese. It's nice and fine and really easy to do. So now that that's done, we are going to just cook up 1 pound of ground beef. And then we're going to just add in a little bit of garlic. We're basically going to doctor up some meat sauce. This is still a very super basic meal. We're going to let that cook for just a minute. And I am using my jarred spaghetti sauce from Aldi. We use the marinara. And this is one that I do really like, although I do prefer homemade from scratch, but I haven't done that in years. I used to do that when we had a garden and there was nothing quite like it. So someday maybe I'll get back to that. I don't know why, I only put in half of it here. I end up putting the rest of it in. And then we'll also doctor it up with just a little bit of Italian seasoning, just kind of, sprucing it up a little bit, although I do like this sauce even on its own. But this dinner was easy enough. It wasn't too hard to doctor it up. If you are new here, I just want to thank you so much for being here and would love it if you are enjoying this video, if you would give this video a thumbs up, because it really does help me out a whole lot, more than you know. Also, say hello in the comments. I love to see comments from you and interact with you. Maybe let me know what you're having for dinner today, or something that's on your meal plan, or maybe a recipe that you think I should give a try. I would love to hear from you. Now, I will admit I won't necessarily try it because there are some things I don't like, but leave me one. You never know. Maybe it'll happen. So as you can see, this spaghetti squash is pretty hot. It had been out for a while, but as long as you leave them flipped over, they will stay nice and hot. So I just pulled it away with a fork to kind of fluff it up, put some in a bowl with a little bit of butter, and then added on our meat sauce and some Parmesan cheese. And this was our meal tonight. Very simple, but also a little bit on the healthier side, which is always nice when that happens. Now this next dinner is also not a recipe, but I just wanted to show you. We had salads for dinner with some ham and pepperoni and hard-boiled eggs, along with all of the lettuce and tomato, cucumber, all that kind of stuff. So really easy, quick dinner to have. So for this next dinner, it's a sheet pan meal, and I'm just going to show you, I didn't follow a recipe, I'm just going to kind of show you what I did and what I put into it. So I started by peeling and dicing up just a couple of smaller potatoes, and then I'm just kind of using a little bit of everything. I had a little bit left in this green bean bag in the freezer. I also had a little bit of broccoli here. And then I added in, I guess, some more, some more broccoli. I don't know why I struggled with this opening. I could have just cut a larger hole because the scissors are right there. I don't know. And a few carrots that I had cut up in the fridge, just kind of used what I had. And I'm drizzling on a little bit of olive oil. Used up that bottle. I had to get another one, I think. Well, we'll see. We're going to toss that together. Coat everything in the olive oil, and then I'm going to go grab another bottle of olive oil. There we go. Coat this all really good. As you saw, most of those veggies were, well, some of them were frozen, some of them were fresh. I just did it all together and everything came out great. Now we're going to add on a little bit of salt. You would do pepper as well if you like to cook. You're going to notice I don't use pepper ever when cooking because I don't like black pepper, but feel free to add that if you like it, of course. Then also some onion powder and garlic powder. And we're just going to toss this nice and good. And then I have a sheet pan, like a cookie sheet pan, lined with foil that I'm spraying with cooking spray. I guess I'm putting on a little more seasoning. Sorry guys, I got a little distracted because while I was doing this voiceover, my husband was working on something and started laughing. I don't know if you could hear it, but it distracted me. But we're both working on our computers. Okay. Sorry. So we've got our, there we go, baking sheet, sprayed it with some cooking spray. And I put these, you could put the meat all on together, but I kind of separated it, I guess, because I put all of the seasoning on this. And then we're going to take, you've seen me use this stuff 100 times, the kielbasa. I get that from Aldi. And I'm just slicing that up. And then we're going to put that on the sheet pan and toss that with a little bit of olive oil, which I don't know if it was totally necessary, but I did. And I did not season these at all because I feel like they've got enough flavor. And when you cook them like this, I feel like the flavor is really brought out and enhanced. But you could do, I guess, any meat and veggie combo you wanted here. But this is what we went on this night. I think I baked this at like 350 or maybe it was 400 degrees for, it's going to depend on how big your veggies are, how big the pieces are. So maybe like 30 minutes. I think I did 30 minutes, and then halfway between here I'm tossing everything. I also tossed the kielbasa. I actually flipped the kielbasa because I really like that like golden crispy edge on it, and I wanted both sides to get it. So I went through the time of flipping them over one by one and then popped those back in, and here it is when it's all done. Cook it to your likeness. We like that crispy edges on that. And that was what we had for dinner. What am I doing here? Checking the potatoes. They're all done. We're gonna serve that up. Quick and easy sheet pan meal. You can pretty much use anything you have on hand, which is what I did in this instance. Just to kind of use whatever veggies I had that needed to be used up. I had a little bit of Parmesan cheese left over from the spaghetti squash with meat sauce, and I just thought that sounded good, so I put a little bit on there as well. And that was it for dinner. For this next night's meal, we are having some burgers on the grill, and I'm just going to show you how I season my burgers. I've just got 1 pound of ground beef, and we've got some onion powder and garlic powder. I don't really measure this stuff, I just kind of put it in to taste, and so I don't really know what to tell you there, but that's what I'm doing. I also like to put in a little bit of Worcestershire sauce and some salt, and once again, add pepper if you want. We're just gonna mix it up really good. I do use gloves because I just don't like mushing my hands in raw meat. I just don't, mainly because I don't want to pull it out of my fingernails. So I form them into patties, and then I do like to put a little indentation in the center. That's what we do. And then my husband put these on the grill, so I did not film any of that, but that's all there is to it. And for this night, we were keeping it simple. I made some boxed mac and cheese. We do like Annie's. Mac and cheese is our mac and cheese of choice, but we don't make a habit of having boxed mac and cheese, but it was perfect on this night. I don't remember what was going on, but we just needed to do something quick and easy. Oh, I know, we were gonna have burger bowls and we switched over to burgers, so I needed some sides. So I took the hamburgers and popped them in the oven just to keep them warm, actually, because we were, I think, showering or something. Threw some cheese on it, and I put the oven at like 170, and we made some hash browns and cut up some veggies, just kind of using up what we had left over. And that was our dinner. It was really, really good, but super simple, and yeah, very simple and basic. So this next meal was inspired by Jennifer from Southern Mama Drama. I will link her channel or her video or something like that along with the original recipe. She did a little bit of a variation. I did a little bit of a variation. We're going to get to the creamy cheeseburgers in just a second. I started out by making some sweet potato fries, so I just peeled some of it, not all of it, but peeled it a little bit and sliced them up. Tried to be somewhat even in their size, but that's about impossible. Anyways, we're going to drizzle that with some olive oil, some salt, some garlic powder, and onion powder, kind of the basic go-to. Toss them around, and then we are going to put them in the oven and bake them. I put them on a lined baking sheet with some cooking spray, and then I only did a couple. I didn't want to have like leftover sweet potato fries, so I just did enough for my husband and I to eat, but obviously make however many you need, and put these in the oven at 350. I think they took about 25 to 30 minutes, and I tossed them halfway in between. So now we're going to get on to the creamy cheeseburgers, and I do use some avocado oil when cooking my ground beef, or olive oil. The ground beef we bought from a local farmer, and it's extremely lean, and so I do need to put a little bit of oil in. So cook up that 1 pound of ground beef. I'm adding in some fresh garlic and some minced onion. The recipe calls here, I'm going to just skip ahead a little bit. The recipe calls for some onion and chive cream cheese, which is like one of the main ingredients. I didn't have that, but I still wanted to eat this. So basically what I did was I seasoned my meat up a little bit extra to make up the difference. So I didn't feel like chopping any onion this night, so I'm using onion powder and garlic powder, minced onion, and fresh garlic. I know, maybe it seems overkill, but this actually worked out really good, and it was really good. I think I just said really good twice in a row. And I also added in some salt, and now we're adding in a half a cup of evaporated milk. The recipe calls for 1/4 to half a cup. I just did the full half cup. And then I'm adding in some cream cheese, just 4 ounces. Accidentally dropped the packaging in, not necessary. And we're going to break this up. I did let that soften a little bit as I was doing everything else. And I did not have my air vents on, my vent over my stove, because my husband was doing stuff that I was trying to not make noise, so that's why it's a little bit more steamy. Now I added in about half a can of diced tomatoes. This was not in the recipe, but it sounded good to me, so I did add that in. So we're letting the cream cheese melt down. It's about halfway in between for the sweet potato fries, so we're just giving them a toss to get them nice and crispy on all of the sides, and then we're going to pop it back in. I think my burner got a little hot here, so I just pulled that off for a second. I left this in. This is what happens. This is like real life cooking, right? And here I am trying to literally flip over every single sweet potato to get it crispy on both sides. You don't have to be extra like me. You can just toss them and throw them back in. Whatever. All right, back to the creamy cheeseburgers. So we're gonna let that get all melty, and then I decided to add in, well, let's see. Okay, the recipe calls for 8 ounces of Velveeta cheese, or any shredded cheese in the flavor you want. I don't like to use Velveeta cheese. I mean, I like it, but I don't like to use it just because it's so processed. So I shredded up some cheddar cheese, and I actually didn't use a full 8 ounces. That seemed like a lot, and I like cheese. So do what you want, but I'm just telling you, I didn't quite do it. I probably did like 3/4 of a block. And then I had these bacon bits, and I was like, creamy cheeseburger, bacon sounds good. So these are the real bacon pieces from Aldi, and I decided to add them in, and I thought it was a good choice. So we've got our creamy cheeseburgers done, we've got our sweet potatoes all done, and then, well, mostly done. And I have these buns. These are some keto buns that we just tried for the first time, and you saw them in 2 recipes. We picked them up at Aldi, and I just decided to spray them with a little cooking spray and pop them in the oven with the sweet potatoes while they finished up, just to kind of toast them a little bit, and that was a nice touch. And then I thought, I like to add Worcestershire sauce to my hamburgers, so why not add it to this? So I did. I have shared with you all of the adaptations that I've made to the original recipe. Take it or leave it. It's actually quite different from the original recipe, but that is what I did. Jesse had his kind of like as an open face sandwich. We basically did these kind of like sloppy joes, and then I did mine just as a closed sandwich with some cut up carrots on the side. He had those too, but they just weren't out yet when he was serving up his plate, and that is what it was for dinner. Really, really good. Highly recommend it. All right, guys, well, that's gonna do it for today's video. If you liked it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. If you have not yet subscribed, I would love it if you would consider subscribing. If that button is red, then make sure you click that, and then a little bell will pop up next to it. Make sure you turn on your notifications, because if not, YouTube is kind of funky about letting people know about videos, even when you're subscribed and have the bell on, but doing all of those steps is going to at least increase your chances. As always, any recipes and links will be in the description box below, so make sure to check those out, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye, guys.